40 minutes after the 5-minute timer. Because once I get up,
You know what Restream Studio doesn't have? Oh. I have too many mute buttons. Start to get them confused.
Most Americans today can sense that there is something serious going on in our country. It's a feeling of angst. It's a feeling of genuine, serious concern. It feels like a war is being waged on us, on our society, on our ideals, on our values. Well, that's exactly what is occurring. A war is being waged, but it's not a war in the traditional sense. This type of war uses neither bomb nor bullet, yet it is just as lethal. It's called political warfare. It's an asymmetric, unconventional type of warfare that encompasses various tactical strategies of ideological subversion or active measures to dismantle and deconstruct a nation state, focusing on its socio-political and economic values.
And now, EPAC Perspectives Live with H.G. Goerner. Oh, hey, you need to be over here. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
There's my producer, True Swinger X. Hey, everybody. HG on HD in HD for EPAC Perspectives. My producer, Tim, over there is producing the show. His sidekick, Jen. I love you guys. Thank you so much. This is the premiere show of EPAC Perspectives. We're taking a good look at what's happening in this country. For the last, I guess, 4 and 4 years, we've been seeing a war being waged on this country. And it's let me put it to you this way. I have people on my team, former DOD, counterintelligence and intelligence analyst. He's a very good friend of mine. His name is Stephen Coughlin. I have another very good friend of mine who used to be with the CIA. Her name is Claire Lopez. She was recruited out of Cornell University, I believe, either that or Syracuse. I can't remember exactly. Brilliant woman. I have another friend of mine. I won't mention his name. He's a retired judge. And I have 2 other people that I won't mention their names. One's an investigator and one's a journalist. But more importantly, I want folks to understand, and my good friend now, Tim and Jen, bless your heart, guys, with the stuff that we get. In fact, my team and I, my retired DOD guy who's a major in the Army, and Claire, and my friend who's a judge, we basically, I guess, brief each other, what we would call brief each other on the news of the week or the day, because the goalposts are being shifted and moved every day. Having said that, I'm an expert, I guess what you might say, or an educated idiot in political warfare. I have a 300-page dissertation on political warfare. And if you go to our website, and if you can see it right here, there it is right there, preservingamericaepac.com, you can watch our first 2 documentaries. The first documentary is called America on the Precipice. That basically gives people an idea of how political warfare is waged and the many components of political warfare. Our second documentary is about half the first documentary is about an hour. The second documentary is half that long, but it really gets down to the brass tacks. It gives you the 5 basic elements of political warfare and the solutions. People are clamoring for the solutions right now. And our second documentary, called Defining a Nation, lays out how the solutions will be put into effect should Donald Trump get elected here in 2020 or in this November. One of the things I want to talk about today is my concern for November. But before I get into that, Marxist political warfare is nothing new. It was, I guess what you might say, designed and I guess put together back in the 30s by the Russian or the Soviet Union. They knew that coming down in the future, bombs and bullets are going to leave devastation. And that's like I put in Defining a Nation. Political warfare, or Marxist political warfare, it doesn't uses neither bomb nor bullet, but it is just as lethal. It will basically take a country and from the inside tear it down. Here's the thing I want folks to understand, and I myself had to learn this. I'm on the learning curve myself. I had to learn this. My 300-page dissertation out of the Department of Defense outlines exactly how it worked and how, back starting in 1963, President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, began an intense political warfare campaign on the Soviet Union after he spanked them and sent them back across the Atlantic to their homeland because they tried to put some missiles in Cuba. After that, he paid the price. That's a whole nother story. The Soviets were the big part of his assassination. But now, during that starting in 63, for 30 years, political warfare was waged by the United States on the Soviet Union. And in 1992, we achieved the objective with the collapse of the Soviet Union. Marxist political warfare goes basically after the socio-political, economic sources or resources within a country and tears them down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right now, as we speak, Marxist political warfare is being waged on our country by Marxists right here in the country. And I want folks to make sure they understand this, because I had to understand this. This is, for me, it was a learning curve. It's not our government per se. If we have the right people in our government running the show, guess what? Let me put it to you this way. Just 5-6 years ago, our government and our country was running on all 8 cylinders, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's been hijacked, right? I mean, that's exactly what's happened, and
by the Biden administration,
right.
Exactly. And these are stone cold Marxists, and Biden is basically being pushed around. Hey, Biden, go over here. Oh no, Biden, no, come over here, buddy, come over here. Basically, it's run by his cabinet and Mayorkas and Garland and everybody. But the point that I want to make is a handful of Marxists within our federal government basically hijacked, like you said, our federal government. But here's the thing that I say in Defining a Nation. In fact, I don't think I say 1.5 million. It was in the first documentary. In this country right now, there are 1.5 million nonprofit organizations in this country. About 1 million of them are left of center. They're obviously advocates for this, that, the other thing, trying to help people. About half of them, actually, to be honest with you, about 250 million of them, 250,000, we repeat that, 250,000 of that 1 million that are left are extreme left of center organizations. Marxist, extreme left of center organizations that are bent on deconstructing this country. 250,000 organizations specifically bent on breaking down this country using Marxist political warfare. One, the demoralization of our society, taking basically every white person and saying, hey, you're the problem. You are the oppressor. And anybody as a people of color or poor, guess what? They're victims. Having said that, that's demoralization. Second of all, and here's the interesting point. I'm going to go off just the page just for a second. One of the parts of demoralization is critical race theory. Critical race theory, in its context, it says critical race theory. Anything that you discuss based on race, the color of a person's skin, guess what? That's a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. When you come to a conclusion or a decision based on a person's race or the color of their skin, that's a violation that everything Martin Luther King was trying to basically straighten out. Having said that, part of the demoralization is to pit people against us, a cultural war. Many people has called this cultural Marxism. I call it Marxist political warfare.
Yeah, well, it's a color revolution, right?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. The next step is destabilization. Basically, so much crapola is fed into the system. Now, here's where I'm going to stop right now. Everybody who's listening, God bless you. We love you. Please stay with us. Just say hi to tell your friends about this new documentary that we just premiered just a couple of days ago. It's called Legacy of a Nation. Legacy of a Nation, the legacy of a nation, is determined by the events that occur just prior to its demise. And this is the next several months is going to be crucial. And I'm going to lay this out for you as quick as I can because I got only so much time. I don't want to bore you with the bloody details. But part of destabilization is so much information. And this is where I really have to be specific in what I do, because a lot of people, here's the best way I can tell you. Just about a couple of weeks ago, and this is using it as an example. In Aurora, Colorado, there were a handful of gangsters, probably Venezuelan gangsters, who knows? That's probably what they were. They broke into a woman's home in an apartment complex. And then the next thing you know, it blew out of proportion, and the Hells Angels are going down there to take care of these Venezuelan cartel guys. Mm-hmm. Well, the Hells Angels don't give a shit about them, okay? They're not going to drive 2,000 miles, and I don't want to put anything against anybody, but I did my research. I talked to people in Aurora. He says these guys, there are Venezuelan gangsters around, but they're not taking over this specific apartment complex. Second of all, the Hells Angels were not headed down to Aurora to attack these guys. Thirdly, the cops are pretty darn good at what they do. I have people on who are close friends of mine, advisors who are sheriffs. I helped get the current sheriff in our county right now. I helped him get elected. I was one of the first people to have an event for him so that he could put his message out there. But more importantly, we've got some great people all over the country. We have great people in Congress and in the Senate. You're not hearing from them. I put together what's called the commission, the People's Commission on the Public Trust. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But that's where much of this information is all torn apart. You get so much crap. The people literally have to sit down. Okay, they hear something. You're going, the Hells Angels going there? Then they got to go. No, or some sort of BS. They literally have to go to the computer and dig out what the hell's the truth. It takes so much effort to find out what the freaking hell's going on. Nobody, and here's the best part I want to tell you. This is why I told you about Legacy of a Nation. In Legacy of a Nation, Obama, just about a year ago, gave a speech at Stanford University, and he tells you exactly how Marxist political warfare basically is laid out. It's about destroying the public trust. When the people don't trust their elected officials, they don't trust our government, etc. He says they don't trust even the possibility of truth. The game's won.
Yeah.
We're in that point right now where the game has been won. And this is where I want to lead you to. And this is going to be pretty gnarly. And I'm going to make a prediction. What we saw last night during the debate was a hit job on Donald Trump. It was an assassination attempt on his character. Yeah. This wasn't a debate. This was a setup. I don't give it. You give all the information you want. I didn't even want to watch the son of a bitch. The point is, this was a hit, an assassination attempt on Donald Trump's character. Yeah. Having said that, you had the moderators checking everything. This is where, and I just saw Donald Trump saying, you know what? The third documentary, nope, we're done. He knows he's fed up with the whole shit. Yeah. And this is where I'm at too. He's fed up. We will put it in the hands of the people. See on November 5th what happens. But here's the thing I want to say, and I hope the Lord I'm wrong. I really do. But all the numbers and all the things that I'm seeing just kind of put this together. Maybe I've got in touch with my feelings, but I doubt it. The point is, I don't go by feelings. I go by facts. I believe, according to what happened on January 20th, the scales have been tipped in favor of the Democrats. There's more people in this country that will vote Democrat and sway the November election that I believe Kamala Harris will win the election by an inch. I believe Kamala Harris will get 278 electoral votes. Donald Trump will get 262. She'll win literally by a thread. I hope I'm wrong. Now, here's the interesting point, and I want folks to take this with them. Who's going to preside over the electoral vote count on January 6, 2025?
Yeah, right. If Joe Biden survives it, she will. Kamala Harris will.
Well, Kamala Harris is the vice president. She presides over the joint session of Congress when they certify the election.
Right.
If Donald Trump is duly elected, she's going to be presiding and counting the votes. She's going to have a dozen Marxist congressmen who are leftists say they object to the elective. I object. Something's wrong with the election.
Yeah, right.
Trust me, that's exactly what's going to happen. And then Kamala's going, okay, well, how many people object? We got like 9. Okay, well, it looks like we need a debate. Then a couple of people from the Senate will debate. Yeah, we need an audit. They'll have it. She'll say, okay, everything stops. We need to have an audit. They'll have a 10-day audit. At that time, they'll say, okay, looks like we might have some problems with their elections. The Russians, and they've already signaled this. Garland just the other day said the Russians are on this already. They're trying to hack our election. They've already hacked our elections. She will say, okay, well, the audit appears there is some problems with our election system. Well, we need an investigation. Then an investigation will be put underway. During the investigation, whether it's 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, it doesn't matter the amount of time. And a conclusion has not been determined. The outcome of the election has not been determined because the elections seem to be messed up. During the investigation time, 2 weeks, 2 years, Biden stays in the White House to uphold the continuity of government, and Donald Trump has to sit and wait till the decision is determined. This is a debacle in the making. It's a setup in the making. I'm an old Scotsman because I'm old and I'm Scotch. And guess what? This is going to be a mess, a freaking mess. Guarantee it.
Yeah, it's going to be a crap show, And I mean, already, they're pulling out all the stops. And people were losing their minds after this debate, and I had all sorts of people saying, like different people that are conservative commentators and saying, oh, well, it was a missed opportunity. The guys over at Daily Wire and Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and stuff like that. And I'm like, I thought he did fine considering the fact what he was dealing with. And now I said, listen, man, I told people this is going to age like a fine wine. You can't have it yet. It has not come to fruition yet. When we start to find out more information, like, I don't know, like the whole thing I want to ask you about is the dogs and the cats and what you think of Springfield, Ohio, but hang on. But, as far as the debate was concerned, they have now apparently a whistleblower that says that she was fed the sample questions, right? And so, and that they would fact check Donald Trump, but not her. So this is kind of a big scandal with ABC News, don't you think?
100%. This is a setup. I've done the homework myself, like you've done. ABC came in, weaponized Kamala. Basically, it was, like I said, it was an ambush. It was a hit job. More importantly, they obviously, the way she was well versed in it, they fed her the information, the questions. Second of all, everything that went with her was positive. But everything that went against Donald, you this and you're doing that, it was a hit job, basically, to paint Donald Trump's character and his presidency and his candidacy in a black light. It was such a debacle. It was a setup. Like I said, I'm an old Scotsman, and I can smell a setup from a long ways away. That it was so much, excuse my language, everybody, it was total bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, it was knee deep. And it occurred to me that I thought that if the fact checker or the moderators are fact checking and only fact checking in one direction and not always fact checking with truth either, okay, that essentially what you're doing is taking the load off of the other person that's debating, because what they don't have to do that and spend time debunking. Because theoretically, if the other person on the other side of the debate stage is lying, okay, that's your job to call out those lies, and then you put your own positions forth. But when the moderator is helping, you're debating against 3 people. It's disgusting.
You hit it right on the head, because if I've debated before, and one of the things you have to remain cool, but also if you're going to make a claim, you have to be able to substantiate it with facts. You don't want the moderator giving you the facts or basically fact checking you. The way you win a debate is here's the facts. These sets of things, 1, 2, 3, 4, come to this conclusion. Guess what? Here, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here's the facts. This, and this. The economy. Here's the best way. This picture. See if we can see it. There you go. See that? She's smiling, isn't she? She's smiling. Donald Trump, okay, is trying to tell the people about the economy. The economy right now, what causes inflation? Just 5 years ago, gas was like $2 a gallon. I just spent almost $5 a gallon for gas. That you can't walk away from that. So you give the people, here's the facts. Right now, gas is almost $5 a gallon. 5 years ago, it was half that price. Second of all, the only way for inflation to increase is for these idiots in the president's administration is to print money, billions of dollars, send them overseas, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Inflation is caused by only one thing: the printing of money. Guess what? And that's what the Biden administration is just now. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you make your conclusion. There's the facts. You make your conclusion. And that's how you win a debate.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? But that's not what happened, unfortunately. But I think, like I said, as we see it age, as things go on, what I'm hoping is the mask will be pulled back, but from the media and this, that, and the other thing. But what that segues back into is what you said about your prediction. And I just put my head down and I say, oh, Lordy, as they say in the South, okay? If that happens, you want to talk about people's faith is shattered in the election, right? The conservative MAGA movement is tired of this. And if we wake up in the morning, right, or or they go,
November 6th?
Huh?
On November 6th?
Now, but what you're talking about is the certification of the election. You're talking about in January.
January 6th, yeah, of 2025.
Well, that's gonna get ugly, man.
You have no idea. In fact, I think you got a pretty good idea. The debacle that's about to occur, I guarantee you. Here's the best way I can tell you. In 2004, many Democrats objected to the election of George W. Bush, right? What did Biden do? Biden said, oh, excuse me, was that Biden? But anyway, I can't remember who it was, but Ryan is right. Was it 2004? Anyway, in 2004, here's the facts. In 2004, the Democrats objected to the electoral vote count. Okay, at that particular time, they were sat down. Then in 2016, when Biden was presiding over the electoral vote count, and Trump won, Biden told everybody to sit down, but you have no standing, because it was overwhelming. Then in 2020, Pence, basically that breach on January 6th, that was a major. Well, here's the best way I can tell you. When Donald Trump objected to the electoral vote count, he said on January 6th, let's walk down there and let the senators hear from outside the building, hear your support.
Right.
The breach had to occur. The only way Donald Trump was the best record here. Donald Trump had the 10 votes. He was going to have a successful objection to the process. He would have won. They would have had an audit. Then an audit. After the audit, we seem to have a problem. And guess what? Donald Trump was still the president. He would have stayed in the White House during the investigation. Same thing's going to happen again, but Biden's for the most part in office right now. They're going to use the same thing. If Donald Trump should win the election on November 5th, then Kamala won't certify.
Yeah,
and that's where I see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as J6 was concerned, I mean, or that whole thing, we played right into the hands of what they wanted us to do, what had to happen in order to shut down, right, the successful objection. And so, that's where I think that we all played Hollywood, right? We all, said freedom, and we're gonna make our voices heard, right? And then other nefarious things happen.
So I apologize. Many of the good people that were there, Trump supporters, knew that you don't break into into anybody's house.
Yeah, I mean, you see the videos of people going, no, 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 and trying to drag people down. Yeah, see? So, yeah, there was nefarious stuff going on.
It was a Marxist tactical operation. Yeah. That breach had to occur. Yeah. It had to occur in order to stop Donald Trump's objection from succeeding.
Shenanigans.
It was a major setup. And now we're being set up again.
Yeah, we are. So then the next question is, I mean, it's sort of, feels like, how do you, it feels like we're between a rock and a hard place. You can't not do and you can't do. And, it's like, I don't know. I just don't know how much the American people's psyche is going to take of this stuff. I mean, the psyops are just crazy.
You nailed it. You nailed it. If she doesn't, if Donald Trump wins, okay, and she won't certify the election, there's going to be people that are going to, millions of people that are going to lose their shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come unwound.
Yeah.
Unwound like you can't believe. And that's the part that worries me, because I got a funny feeling. Everything, here's the best way I can do it. All the indicators point to that happening. Every indicator. An objection, Donald Trump wins. We object to the Russian hacking. Okay, we need to have an investigation. It all fits just perfect. And we let the people decide.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like what you're talking about is kind of like playing, well, not quite Z, but pretty far down the I think there's some more shenanigans, yeah. But I mean, I think ultimately what's going to happen is the things that they try between now and then probably are going to continue to fail, because it's sort of like the whole Coyote and the Roadrunner at this point. I mean, so many of these, yeah, and it keeps blowing up in their face, and so that keeps happening over and over. And I think that what's going to happen is that ultimately maybe it's going to happen. What you're saying is going to happen.
Well, let's see what happens. And here's it. I'm going to leave you with this. Here in just about 2 weeks, on I believe it's on the 20th of September, the United Nations, and I put this in Legacy of Nation. Please go to Preserving America, EPAC.com. You can watch our documentary, Legacy of a Nation, less than a cup of coffee. It talks about the United Nations. Everything of this that's going on right now surrounds around the end goal, the objective. You got to watch the documentary. I explain this out. These are all the indicators point to this one conclusion, the objective, which you have to watch it. The thing I wanted to say, though, on September 20th and 21st and 22nd, I believe are the actual dates, the United Nations will officially declare a global climate change emergency. Last year and the year before, they already declared unofficially a global climate change emergency. Biden has already signed on to it. He's put together a white paper, basically signed on to it. Now they will officially declare it this in a couple of weeks. Then that will be the time that the Biden administration, as head of the federal government, will attempt to grab power and take ownership of this country, or what's called federalize the United States, using the Emergency Powers Act. But that's a whole nother story. We can talk about that on Saturday or next week at our second or third show.
Yeah, good. Well, I posted the link to your website in the chat. I also posted the link to your book in the chat. So that
Thank you, buddy.
Should go out everywhere to everyone. So you want to definitely check that out. Did you want to talk a little bit about Gavin Newsom for just a minute before we go?
Well, yeah. Okay.
You kind of whet my appetite the other day, telling me he's into the kinkies. So,
well, before I get I'll get into that real quick. But what I want to say is that if you notice, Kamala Harris talks about equity, where everybody ends up at the same place. Mm-hmm. Everybody's successful. Well, unfortunately, in the world that I live in, there's going to have to be losers. There's going to be winners and losers. Competition is the one and only thing that makes the quality of our life here in this country what it is. We have the highest quality of life because there's competition.
Right.
And everybody's going to end up at different spots. That she's proposing is not socialism. It's not socialism. It's not Marxism. It is not communism. It is not the China's CCP's state capitalism. It is insanityism. She has no idea. She's feeding so much crap, and many of these things she's promising, I guarantee you, she will not. She will go completely in the other direction. I'm promising we're going to give you money. We're going to do this. She won't do diddly squat. And I guarantee you can take that to the bank. She's trying to buy your vote. Secondly, Governor Newsom on Saturday, actually, this is going to be coming. There's a gentleman from the San Francisco Police Department that I will protect because I'm a credentialed member of the press. I don't have my credentials here with me. They're buried. Yep, there we are. I'm a credentialed member of the press. We're going to interview a gentleman that is a retired police officer in San Francisco, and he and his buddies know exactly the kind of person Governor Newsom is. This police officer told me that he will testify under oath, and he will testify with a lie detector. Everything he says is true. One of his buddies has gone to the great sheriff's department in the sky because of some of this bullshit. More important, we won't get it. We can't make claims. We don't know if what happened was actually manhandled or whatever. But this guy's life was destroyed. He's lost his family, every bit, and it's a mess up in San Francisco and in Oakland. But more importantly, this police officer, retired, called Governor Newsom a freak, a live, full-on freak, freaky dicky, kinky. You got it. Think of this stuff. Yeah, there you go. So having said that, we're going to interview this guy. We're going to interview him live in a week or two. We have to have discussions with this guy. This is going to open a huge can of worms, and just the mere appearance of impropriety will basically put a cloud over Governor Newsom's head. This guy is basically by himself, with the help of the few Marxists in California, has put California at the number one spot for the most part, the worst state financially. California is insolvent. It's an inch away from filing bankruptcy. It will not file bankruptcy when it gets to that point. But when California gets to that point where it can either open the doors for business or pay the interest on the loans it needs to borrow the money to keep the doors open, right? Guess what happens? It snaps. You can pay one or the other, but you can't pay both. What happens is what's called sovereign default. They will not reschedule. There's a word for it. Not reform. Recalibrate the debt, and it's called a restructuring of the debt. And basically, everything one day California will close the doors, and guess in about a week they'll open back up. Oh, okay, but the people are going to suffer because it's going to be the pensioners, and because the whole it's called I can't remember the exact term, but it's about the debt, unsecured debt. Not so much unsecured debt, but it has to do. They're so deep in debt right now, they'll never get out of it. They're what's the word? I can't remember the word now. I'm losing my brain.
Screwed.
See what?
They're screwed. Pretty much. I mean, let's just break it down for the layman, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly. But the debt is so bad, they'll never get out of debt. California's insolvent.
Yeah, that's what it is. The word is insolvent. I mean, you just can't do it. There's no way you're going to be able to do it. You can't raise enough income to pay off your debt. You're done. You're bankrupt.
And the pensioners are going to suffer the worst.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love you, buddy. Let's call it a day. I give my best to Jen. Love you, dear. Tim, you're the man. You are the man, boss. Let's do this again next Saturday, 5:00.
Yep.
We're gonna be sending out some notices, whatever. Go to preservingamericaepac.com. Watch Legacy of a Nation for less than a cup of coffee. EPAC Perspectives out. Tim, we love you, boss.
All
Jen,
right,
we
man.
love you.
We'll see you. Good night, everybody. Good
All
night.
right. God bless.
See ya.